Let's go.
Good evening and welcome to Enterprise at 8. It's Monday, of course, which means it is time for that. It is Monday, right?
Yep, sure is.
Okay, I'm so confused by the holidays that have recently happened, so who knows?
Thanksgiving.
What's that?
Thanksgiving and such.
Yes, I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Well, I guess technically we were here on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a bit too much wine in my system last Monday.
Now I remember.
Yes.
All right. Anyway,
I can't drink like I used to.
Well,
yes, you can. You just can't talk after.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's what it is. So this is Live Long, a podcast Star Trek Enterprise rewatch series. It's been about 20 years.
20 years?
Hey, he's almost on the cue.
Look
That
at
time.
that, right on cue.
I was ready.
Oh,
I was
It
ready.
was almost. I don't think it was totally there, but it was good.
What
It was
episode are we on?
good. We're on Horizon.
20 years?
20 years.
That
Since
was
tonight's
funny.
episode Horizon first aired, but we're just getting started here at Enterprise at 8. I'm Jody Simpson, and today Adam is off celebrating holidays with friends and family. And of course, though, I am joined by some awesome panelists. Tonight, joining us is Live Long and Podcast awesome producer and the man who can stop the film if it's disturbing your conversation, Dave Mader.
Yeah, we can pause the episode if it's disturbing this podcast, guys. But
Indeed.
we can just get into it, get the blood pumping. That's what
There
it's
you
all
go.
about.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Gets the heart pumping.
And I'm going to let you guys know, I've never met a more natural stick and rudder man in my life than Kevin Millard.
I am also a man who would like to pause this episode to talk about literally anything else.
So not
I can't say I'm going to disagree with you on this one.
Kevin's not necessarily.
I warned
coming
you
in
last
strong,
week
if
that
that's
this is a terrible episode.
Guys, I liked this episode.
Oh, God. There's
I
always
know.
one in the group, isn't there?
Yep.
Anyway. As I
You're
said,
flying
tonight,
solo today.
I have some complaints with the
Well,
episode,
I have
which
a
I'm
lot of
sure you'll
complaints.
share with me.
Anyway, this is tonight's episode is Horizon, which is the 45th episode of the series. I think we're officially at the halfway point now. Are we? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess I never think about like the total episode count. I think
Total
about-
episode wise, we're at that. Yeah, but obviously there's two-parters and stuff like that. Anyway, this episode is about, Enterprise diverts to observe an unusual planetary event. Travis Mayweather takes time off to visit his family on the cargo ship where he was born and raised, the Horizon.
Is this assignment as bad as Assignment Earth? Sam
No.
wants to know.
No.
Of course it is. Assignment Earth is awesome. It's one of the greatest episodes.
It's a polarizing episode. I liked this better than Assignment Earth, personally. He's removing himself. Interesting. Yeah, let's talk about what we didn't like about it specifically, because
Almost everything.
almost everything. Well, okay, let's go through it, because I thought that this opening was weak as hell.
Really weak.
Big time weak.
This, like, it's just, we've seen Travis up here where he likes to go upside down, but really, if like that's the floor, like if his feet, like we see later on when Archer talks to him, they just flip the camera upside down and it's like anyway, he just comes on down. They say, "Hey, Travis, the captain wants you on the bridge," and he goes, "Okay," and that's the opening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
I
it?
don't know what you want us to say, Dave. Nothing happened.
And then they followed it up with that terrible song.
Right.
Yeah.
At least the song is something.
It's something. And then
Yeah, when your opening sucks more than the intro to this show.
like
you
I
got
feel
a
like they
problem.
should have just skipped this opening altogether.
There was no reason to even have it.
It was just like, guess what, Travis? You're wanted on the bridge. Like that's my teaser.
Yeah,
It's like,
teaser
hey,
is
remember
somebody's
that-
talking to Travis.
Someone's
that
actually
place on
talking.
the ship?
Get ready, guys. Mayweather episode.
Remember that
Yeah,
place on
there
the
should have
ship
been the
we saw
warning.
in episode 1? It's back.
It's back. Remember that thing we set up a long time ago? It's back.
Just to remind you, he still does this.
He still does this. Like we talked about how much they don't focus on, I guess, beyond Archer and DePaul and Tripp and sometimes Phlox, but like, Mayweather, Reed, Hoshi, they kind of get forgotten most of the time on this show, it feels like. So this is a Mayweather episode, but it's like the most interesting thing is like, guess what? We're having a meeting that it doesn't really specifically involve Mayweather, anything other than they're like, can you fly there? And he's like, yes. And they're like, okay, go do that. And it's
like the logic in this episode is ridiculous.
They're going to go see a volcano planet. That's like their plan here.
Yeah.
So they go to warp. That's the handiwork of Mayweather. And it feels like this maybe should have been the opening scene, like the scene where he comes to see the captain.
Yes, that should have been it right there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, like, hey, we're gonna be going near my parents' ship. Can I take a few days off?
And give me more scenes not on the horizon.
Well, there's one scene in particular on the horizon I didn't like at all. I was like, what the it was the scene with a woman who was not a bad looking woman, I will grant you. But I was like, why did we have this scene? Anyway.
Luis La Raza, I hope I said that right, says hola. I even kind of threw in a little bit of an accent there.
Yeah. I think we could get along without you for a few days.
Yeah, which is
they've gotten
Archer's
along
way
without
of saying, really, you push a couple buttons, dude. Like,
they've gotten along without him for 2 seasons. I don't see how this one episode is going to be any different.
Yeah, he's almost never there.
Yeah, and he never seems to be doing that much important, really.
Yeah,
he flies the ship. That's all he does. Which I guess is important, but
it's important, but they don't make it feel important.
Yeah.
Like I felt like there was more gravity towards like when in the original series when it was like Sulu and Chekhov running that board, and it felt like more like flying a ship took a whole team of people, and it was more involved, right?
Just so you know, I have no idea what Sam's talking about.
Yeah, Sam's been going on about this for a while, that he ran a simulation of us playing Big Brother with each other.
Dave was the first one voted off.
I was the first one voted off.
That makes sense.
Yes,
That
Kevin
makes-
came
I was
third.
Third.
Yeah.
That's respectable.
And you won.
And you
well,
won.
that clearly makes sense then.
But it wasn't real. So it
it wasn't real. Dave has to let me know that it isn't real.
You won't be getting that
Thanks, Dave.
$250,000, unfortunately.
Oh, unfortunately.
Or
Could've
whatever.
paid off my
That,
car.
the shopping trip at the Brick or whatever else they would give you. So, yeah. So the one thing in this conversation between Mayweather and Archer is that Archer admits that he once considered joining the cargo service, the Earth Cargo Service. And he goes, well, why not? And he goes, it's a long story. I'll tell you at breakfast sometime. When we
Him and his breakfasts, man. It's the only time he ever talks about anything.
Yeah. Like, is there something happening this minute that he needs to get
what
to?
happens if Archer gets the flu and misses breakfast? Like, does nobody know what's going on?
No, yeah. That's the only time he has time to really talk to people, apparently.
Well, if he stopped walking around while he was talking all the time, he probably would have more time.
But the one thing he does kind of tell us in this scene that I thought was interesting was he was like, well, it was before Starfleet was actually chartered. So Starfleet's not that old at all.
No. No, it's not that old.
But how did they decide that Forrest is an admiral?
Well, I would assume that they would have took people from existing military organizations and put them in this.
Right.
But we're making a lot of guesses and assumptions there. Like,
Well,
about
no,
where-
that's kind of how it works on a lot of things.
Yeah, I think they didn't just, he's not just some guy. They were like, hey, although the way he acts, maybe it did.
I
He
go-
might be.
I think
They
was
made
walking
it
down the
literally
street
just
and they
he
were
happened
like,
to show up.
You got a tie? You want to be an admiral?
Yeah, you look pretty spiffy in that tie. Do you want to be the nicest boss to Scott Bakula ever?
Say, do you like black jumpsuits and ties?
Yeah.
Do we
Well,
got something for you?
Because you're assuming like that he came from like the Royal Navy or the American Navy, maybe. Or something.
Well,
Right.
in this type of scenario, it's similar to like the idea of
what how NASA gets their astronauts?
Trump's done his little Space Force thing. You know, they don't have anybody to start with. They have to grab from other branches of the military. And then
Well, yes, like so
build it.
in the case of Space Force, the U.S. agency, like that comes from the Air Force. Like most of those people are just Air Force people that have been transferred over to Space Force. So
Yeah.
that's a Space Force, a military branch of the U.S. military, but Starfleet something else. Anyway, interesting that it didn't really exist until somewhat recently. And what was exactly because it's been 100 years, right? So for what was Earth doing for 100 years? We only get little bits and pieces from the time first contact with the Vulcans to this show.
As far as I can tell, they're fighting a Borg queen, and Picard was there. That's all I know.
That's true. But that's before first contact.
True.
So anyway, so back down here in engineering, we get this other setup where he's like, "Hey, guess what? We're headed to the volcano planet." And then once we get there, we won't have to do anything because the sensors will do all the work. So you need to come to my movie night. It's going to be movie night every night, when we're going.
It's going to be movie night every night.
Every night. And I got the best movies.
That screenshot is awesome.
The 3 greatest horror movies ever.
It looks
made.
like he's selling me cologne.
Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and Son of Frankenstein. We might even throw in Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Lots of Frankensteins.
Frankenstein there for sure.
Yeah, he was.
I like T'Pol's resting bitch face in this episode, though.
Yeah, she's just like.
There it is. She's just like, seriously?
The looks.
I'm like a science officer.
I have no interest in horror movies.
No interest. He's like, well, come on, give it a chance. Give it a try.
I like later on, though, when she gives Flock some shit. I like that part.
Did you like this plot line better? Whether or not T'Pol will watch a horror movie?
Anything was better than the Mayweather plotline.
Yes, this was better.
I could have
Still not
followed
good,
the
though.
damn dog around the ship all for the entire episode where he sniffs things, and it would still be more fun than this episode.
There's one huge revelation in this, though. Did anybody catch it? The first time T'Pol eats food with her hands.
With the popcorn. I did notice that. Yeah.
Well, I noticed that, but I don't know if it's the first time. Is it the first time?
I don't think.
Well, it's the
we've
first
seen it
time we've
before.
seen.
First time I can remember.
Yeah.
But again, that's the progression arc that they've given her
Yeah.
throughout the series, right?
Yeah.
She's one of the only people that actually progresses in the series at all.
She's loosening up. She's sitting in a room with these smelly humans watching their stupid horror movie, like eating popcorn with her hands. Like
corn.
She's a pretty chill Vulcan for Vulcan,
Well, she has to be. She's around nothing but idiots for the most part.
Pretty much. Like these guys. Here we got,
Speaking of idiots,
we got Reed and Mayweather, and he,
I love Reed, man. Reed just he plows it down every time you see him eating. Like it's like he's like. Rah, 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 rah,
Is this why nobody when they were trying to figure out what his favorite food was when it was his birthday? No one could figure it out because
nobody wants to sit near him because of all the shrapnel.
His favorite food is food.
His favorite food is just food. Looks like he's got a steak and baked potato or something there. But I did like this whole exchange where he talked about whether or not there should be families on ships, and Reed's like, no, that's absurd. And Mayweather's like, well, people get less homesick. They wouldn't need to come home so often. He's like, well, I would need we would need a counselor if that's the case, because if my family was on the ship, I need psychological help.
I'm not sure why these questions keep coming at me, but do I hunt? Not officially. But
Not
watch
yet.
your words.
He's a Hirogen. So
actually, I have hunted with bows and arrows, but that's it. No guns.
No, I've never.
I've shot guns, but never.
Yeah,
with them.
I've only done it in video games. Anyway, so what I also liked about the scene was when Hoshi pages Mayweather, right, and he has the communicator in this front pocket of his uniform. It made me.
Well, they all have it.
I know, but it made me think of in next gen era when they would tap their comm badge to do it, and I was like, I wonder if there's a correlation there, about that, because normally in Kirk's time the communicator was always on the back belt, but here I was just like,
they're sitting there talking about families on ship. Of course, this is all a nod to
next gen, and all that stuff. Yeah, I thought that was neat. Gets the call, and there's his mother's on the line, so that's kind of how the scene ends. And then Archer finds Mayweather up in his little sweet spot here. But Salvo Sealy. Yeah. Load on up.
Fucking Christ. They couldn't have just done this in the mess hall or some shit. Like,
Yeah. But then this is what I was saying earlier. Once he's upside down with him, it's just like they're having a conversation on the floor.
yeah.
So like
Well, it essentially
look
is
at-
the floor in that
Oh,
part.
and he's look at him pouting and like,
Oh yeah, it's just.
like I
this is a
understand his
brutal
father
episode.
just died, but
His father that was sick. The interesting thing about this episode is I don't like anything about Mayweather in this episode because Mayweather is an asshole in this episode. And his brother is an asshole as well.
Mhm.
It's like you don't know who to root for. Like they're both dicks. Like
I thought that Anthony Montgomery played this scene pretty well. I thought
yes,
that
he did. Yeah.
the emotion for him. I thought he acted it well. I thought
Oh,
he
I
deserved-
think the acting was fine. There's nothing against. I have nothing against the guy himself, but it's the writing for his character, especially when he's on the horizon. Like it's brutal. Like
well, it's very
and on top of that, you find out that like he's known his dad has been like severely ill for a while. He made no way of actually getting to him or anything like that.
So you're taking his side now, the brother's side.
No, because the brother's a dick too.
No,
But
I hate-
Mayweather shows up on the ship and he starts changing shit, which isn't his. And he starts upgrading things that isn't his. And like, yeah, no, the brother had every right to yell at Mayweather. He's a
I
dink.
always hate these stories of somebody leaving and everybody being angry because they abandoned them just
Right.
for going after. I hate these stories. They
It's
drive
just
me
like that
fucking
episode that
crazy.
came after what was it, Brothers? The episode after the Borg.
Yeah, like I completely agree that the story here that they tell between these two brothers and especially after their father died is a very like reused trope.
Yeah, it's like Picard and Robert.
Yeah, exactly. It's the exact same kind of thing. And so, but because I think I was forgiving of it because I wanted more from Montgomery. He called you a nuisance, Jody.
A nuisance.
Yes.
Well, that would be okay if you learned how to spell it.
Mhm. But he
right.
talked about. I like how Archer was like, I was trying to decide who to pick for your job, and your dad.
I'm
was giving you
Nissan's.
a Nissan. Yeah, that. What was it? How do you phrase it? The best stick in rudder man or whatever.
Best stick and rudder man. That's
Yeah.
Kevin Millard, though.
That's
That's-
but
but it also strikes me that's the nicest thing his father had to say about him.
most natural stick and rudder man there ever was, and you'd be a fool not to take him.
Yeah.
Right, because he talked about how his father didn't want him to go in Starfleet, how his father wanted him just to take over the ship, which ends up being the brother, but he didn't want his brother to do it because he knew his brother was an idiot. So he wanted Mayweather to do it, who was less of an idiot. But anyway, that's an old story. And then back to sickbay with this whole storyline of Phlox. She's basically trying to get a medical deferment out of having to go to movie night, and he's not going to give it to her,
Which is a very human thing to do.
yeah, very just not very Vulcan of her, quite frankly.
No.
But he's like, it's interesting anthropological research, so you should take advantage with these. He's like, I
Later
get
on,
it.
she yells at him.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, he's like, stop talking during the movie. That's how it goes. That's not how what. She's got a real vibe to her in this whole episode, even before
Yeah.
she has
She's
to do
very irritated through the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it plays well. Anyway,
I
we
don't
end up
want
with
to be here, but once I'm here, shut the fuck up.
yes, pretty much. Get in and out.
If we're supposed to be sitting in silence, be in silence.
If I can't read my sensor readings, you can't fucking talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We haven't talked about a comet. They meet up with the Horizon, and there's kind of a Trip walks them to the airlock here, gives them these pictures. There's some pictures of you doing stuff. I thought you might want to show your mom and your
In
brother.
case everybody forgot you were on this show.
Yeah, he's like, I forgot you were on this show. Like the
I
best
also
picture.
like how like most of the pictures don't have him in it.
Well, even the one that does, like even this one up here in the top left, it's just him
Like who took a
focused on his
picture of you?
station.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who
we took
that
a picture of you when you weren't looking.
It's Reed.
And this is just
Reed's
this is
doing
you.
that.
This is you reading an instrument. Like, I don't know. It's a weird photo to pick. But this is like, here you go, buddy. I made this for you.
Says Kevin, watch your language. That's the first time he's heard you swear. He
What?
clearly doesn't know
It
you.
won't be the last. Um,
Try playing hockey with him.
yeah. Just try to play some umba for him and really see
Oh,
where it's gonna.
Jesus Christ, Dave.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mayweather kind of says thanks, and they let him go here. And Enterprise goes on its way, and now Mayweather is here, and his mom like carries his arm around like this for a while throughout the ship.
She's like, "You're not leaving.
You're never leaving." Because we talked earlier in the episode, we talked about his mom is the medic and the chief engineer of the ship. That they had to build this. They had to apparently build this whole set.
And in a way, this makes sense because when we see later on when the ship detaches from the cargo area, it is a really tiny thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and the
it's a
ship
really
itself
tiny ship.
is not big at all. Yeah,
No, but I also like the fact that it could do that. That was cool.
that
Yeah,
was
I
cool.
found that surprising that
Me
was
too.
that was the ship. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I do have a problem with their logic, though. And their logic is we could go faster if we don't have all this extra weight
Right,
in space
right,
where there's no gravity
and no resistance, no air
and
resistance.
no
either.
resistance.
Yeah,
It's right up there with let's make them aerodynamic.
yeah, like
like the Enterprise makes sense to be aerodynamic because it is a ship that technically can go into the atmosphere of a planet. But that cargo ship, I don't know.
so. Let's talk about that when we get to that fight because the physics of it. Would they not?
Everything's
saying-
wrong in there.
You're saying they would have worked anyway. Like that ship could or could
It's only going to go the speed it's going to go because the engines determine that. It has nothing to do with the weight of the ship.
not. Right. Okay, when she's taking them through the ship, they said they had to like hold on to this pole when they went to warp. Like, this is a rougher ride. These old warp engines. The ship's 50 years old.
Yeah.
You got to hold on to it like it's a subway ride. And then he even knows who's at the helm. According to Millard. Anyway, there's this a bunch of people we see throughout the episode that end up not mattering at all.
Well, they're
but
just the crew.
they're just people, yeah. Like they, hey, this guy, cool. And then
They brought the
Renewal.
girl in later on.
The
and
girl
I'm
is the
like,
other- the girl
is she
is
going to
the-
actually be something useful in this episode? And it's like, nope.
nope, not important. Really, other than just set up.
Oh,
that she
they're
didn't-
just to show that this is his home, right?
It's his
She's
family
a
home,
childhood
yeah.
friend. They grew up together.
the girl next door.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get his old room here, which has been kept sort of by his mom.
Okay, go back.
Yeah, he's got Cochrane's
back.
ship
Go
behind
back
him.
one more. There you go. Okay, that's a scale.
Where on the wall?
Yes,
Yeah, you're right. It's a scale. Yeah.
it's a scale. I just noticed that.
Well, maybe he
Got to
collects.
use props when you got to use props. I
He
guess.
collects antique scales, and he likes them so much. He
No, I think
mounts
it's
them on the
supposed
wall.
to be a clock.
Maybe
But
it was a
anyway,
scale turned into a clock.
but that's definitely a scale.
Yeah. But he also has the Phoenix up
Yes,
there on his
Yeah,
little
nice touch there.
knickknacks. Knick-knack.
He's also got
Uh,
a ship, which I'm guessing is probably the Enterprise,
Maybe.
HMS Enterprise. Yeah.
And then he also has this like map on his wall of every star they charted when they were kids or whatever.
Well, this is the route he wanted to take when he became
Oh,
an
right.
explorer or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So his mom's happy he's home. He's, this is kind of a funeral episode because the dad died 6 weeks ago, right? So
Something like that. Yeah.
So like they've had a bit more time to process this than Travis has. But they're together again here. Anyway, she leaves him. We come down to the cargo hold where they're using good old forklifts, in the here in the 22nd century.
Well, they don't have anti-grav yet for
No, they're just
all that
very,
stuff.
very, very conventional. And anyway, so we get this other guy who we come to know is Travis's brother. What's his name again?
Isn't it
The other
Paul?
Mayweather.
Other Mayweather.
Other
Paul.
Mayweather.
Paul Mayweather.
Paul, I think.
Paul, maybe. Yeah.
Played by Corey Mendel Parker. But he has like a vibe to him, like, oh, here comes the young brother who left dad and killed dad and didn't keep the family business going. It's at one point he points at this guy. This guy's like, leave me out of this shit. Like,
He's like,
Uh,
I'm just here counting barrels.
Yeah, leave me out of this shit. Anyway, but they're
You just leave me alone.
yeah. But there's a lot of attitude. Doesn't like the uniform.
Well, and he even goes so far to say, like, you might want to take that off and
Something more conspicuous.
something more conspicuous. Yeah.
Less conspicuous.
Less conspicuous. Yeah.
Yeah. Not proud of his. Well, his mom says he is, but he wouldn't tell him.
He's still going to be a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the job. He's got so much attitude. Who is this actor? I wish I knew.
I don't
know.
Yeah, he's got a gripe with his brother because his brother left to join Starfleet instead of, hanging out on the dirty barge with all of his family. Like, yeah, okay, well, that sounds intriguing.
Yeah. He had the chance to join Star. I don't understand why nobody thinks Starfleet is cool. Like Malcolm's parents think it's garbage, and we tell Hoshi's parents do too, and T'Pol's parents don't want her to serve there.
It's an organization that is fairly newly founded, and it's the equivalent of working for a startup, I guess.
No, these people, it's all the family business. It's these fucking idiots that start a family business and then just determine that their kids are going to do it.
All their kids are going to do it, yeah.
Drives me fucking mental.
Yeah.
Might as well go back to your Dajaras.
Yeah, go back to your Dajar. Yeah, but like he doesn't get to decide his own life and what he wants to do with it. It's kind of crazy. Anyway,
meanwhile, the B plot.
The B plot, which is
that is
kind of
much better than the A plot.
Better.
Yeah.
It's kind of better. It's about this volcano planet and movie night.
It's really about movie night.
Yeah,
it's
more about movie night. It's not really about the volcano planet. And and so this is like, are you coming to the movie night? And she's like, I don't want to come. And Trip's like noticeably disappointed in her about this all. He's just like, oh, come on, you got to come to movie.
He's like, well, there goes my plan of courting her.
Yeah, like all I know, that's what I do. I take people on dates to movies.
I was gonna bring some catfish.
Anyway, he gives like Archer this look, like this to friggin' T'Pol. She sucks, And
Archer's just like, I've already talked to her about this.
Yeah, this is not a new thing. The catwalk felt like an episode was a while ago, but they're continuing on this. He's like, why don't you come? And if you don't like it, you never have to come again. And she's still
like, I'd rather read sensor logs.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because Trip got mad at her because she was like, well, this was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Why don't we just read the book to everybody? And we can experience it as literature. And Trip is like having none of it. He's like, that's not how movie night works.
Well, and I think even Archer says something along the lines of, how are you going to get all these people to just sit there and listen to you read a book?
Right. And so but he's also trying to teach her to be not just a commander, but how to command humans, I think more specifically, because she is his first officer. So I felt like this storyline, it feels like we kind of talked about it when we did the catwalk, that this is coming later than you would think in the show. Like it feels like this would be a first season kind of a storyline.
Well, I think they're really just trying to stretch out her like journey into this, right? But it's a little too late to be doing this at this point, I think.
I guess better late than never. But back to
it pays off in the next season, though.
Yeah, back to the cargo ship. Mayweather is changed into non-Starfleet, where he's helping put some upgrades in, and his brother doesn't like it. His brother's like, "Well, what happens when your upgrades break down?" And
Which is absolutely 100%. I'm totally with his brother on this one. Why are you showing up on a ship that you don't serve on and fucking with the systems and then leaving? Like, yeah, that should have been put through him. He is the captain now.
Right.
I completely understand that.
But totally if Travis had wanted to stay, if Travis didn't join Starfleet, we're given the impression that Travis would be the captain now.
You get that impression, but you don't really know, right?
Yeah.
Like and you're not gonna know because no one's.
We're not gonna know, even though I think Paul is meant to be the older brother, right?
I get the impression that he's the older brother. Yeah,
he looks older.
Yeah,
he definitely looks older. Yeah,
but not the same. Not as good a stick and rudder man.
Not a natural stick and rudder man. He's more.
You know what? That's important to a lot of people in this world.
Anyway, just a lot of brothers butting heads throughout these scenes.
This reminds me of that episode of Next Gen where Picard goes back with his brother and has the mud fight.
But this is not as good as that.
That episode is better. I still don't think it's a great episode, but it makes sense. It's a tragedy thing.
But they're just recycling that same storyline here. Well, except Mayweather doesn't have the trauma of the Borg. He doesn't have any trauma.
Their
dad has died. That's the trauma.
Their dad has died, I guess. Yeah.
Right. And so this is.
I don't necessarily think this is a rehatch of that episode. I think it's just kind of the same kind of plot elements to a degree. But
yeah. And anyway, so he leaves and he goes to his room to stare at his picture. And this is where we get the scene with the girl, whose name is Nora.
Yeah.
Nora. She's the girl next door. I don't know.
She's blonde and she has a ponytail.
She's,
makes sense.
She's not bad looking by any means. And she's like, are we getting in trouble for jumping on the bed like last time? I was like, this is getting kind of risky.
Yeah, I thought this was going a totally different way. And then it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, this girl wouldn't be with him.
She might have thought this was going another way too, and he just didn't realize.
Yeah, he's pretty,
right
over the head there.
But she's only in this one scene, and really all I can tell that this does is establish that two things, I guess. One, that she doesn't really like his brother being the captain. She's not too impressed so far. But also that, Travis kind of stands up for him and says, come on, he's only had it for a couple of weeks. Give him another.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to. Yeah, I think it's supposed to give you the fact that, he's still standing by his brother, even though his brother's a dick.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also supposed to portray the idea that, this is what he's missing by being on Enterprise, and maybe he should come back to the ship. At least that's what I got from it.
I guess from her perspective, life would be better if he hadn't left, right?
Yeah.
I guess, and this is feeding into it, like for a while later on in the episode, he's like, I'm going to take extended leave from Starfleet. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to help the family business until it's fixed up, and then his mom's like, that's dumb, but
yeah, his mom's the only one that has any brains on the damn ship.
Right. But I guess that this is where, I guess, the seed of that's getting planted, I guess, is why the scene, and because I thought it was like, is this a romantic interest for him? Are they going
and when she started talking about bouncing on the bed, I'm like,
yeah, they got grounded.
This is getting better. And then it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, imagine you get grounded on a cargo ship where there's nowhere to go or do anything anyway. So you're just gonna stay out in your room.
And play with that stuffed animal.
Anyway, and they go, oh, it's just turbulence. Feel that turbulence. Oh no, we're being attacked.
Yeah, and they're like, some guy's like piloting, and oh, he's horrible. It's like, oh no, they're actually being shot at. Never mind.
Yeah. And come up to the bridge, where these raiders are attacking them, and
then you have another back and forth fight between brothers. Over
they're arguing about what to do, but they end up attaching this explosive beacon to their hull. Ultimately,
which is is it the same mine that got what's his name or what? I think it's the same.
No, they got Reed.
Reed, yeah.
No, but they brought that.
The minute that happened, I'm like, oh, where's Reed? Is he pinned to that damn thing?
Did he pee himself?
Yeah.
Right, and then we get this other briefing from this other guy who's, I guess, the new helmsman of this ship.
Which I'm almost positive this is one of the Makos later on.
Yeah, he might. He looks like he might be. Yeah. I think he might be right about that. But he explains that this ship attacked another cargo vessel. They attached a beacon, and then they showed up a couple days later, and then they say, "Well, blow it up and blow up your ship unless you give us your shit."
Which is an easy tactic when you think about it. They literally LoJack you, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're coming back, and if we come back and you don't give us the shit, we're gonna blow you up."
Yeah.
It's a 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah, like these cargo ships are easy targets, right? So
they would be, yeah.
But
we even know in Next Gen and later on in series, cargo ships don't have very good armament. Like they
never do. They're always like they never have armaments.
They're always underpowered, even though they're going through like the dangerous territories and stuff like that. It's like, why don't you just give them good weapons?
If any ship needs guns, it's these ships.
Yeah.
The one with all the valuable cargo. Yeah. It makes sense.
It would be like the the old Wild West where they have the the cars behind the whatever they call those things, the carts, I guess there, and not having somebody with a gun. Like it's like they got robbed all the stagecoaches. That's what I'm thinking of.
Stagecoach, yeah.
So
Yeah, like
it's
it seems
it's
like
having a stagecoach, but not having any sort of weaponry or anything like that on.
But it's always shown like it's in Star Wars like this too, in Star Trek, where it's like there are cargo ships and then there are warships, and they would never be the same thing. But anyway, but Mayweather's like, no, we need to modify our weapons so that we can fight, and the brother doesn't want to fight. He wants to just try to either make it to the destination before these guys come back, or to try just give them what they want.
That green screen doesn't work that well when they do those out of focus shots, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
that one's brutal. Yeah. Oh, look at the guy in the background there. Oh,
yeah, they're on a green screen. Yeah, you're right.
Green screen to green screen. Yeah.
Totally. You don't really notice it when it's moving, but
I never noticed it until that screenshot. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, there it is again.
He's like, let's be more angry.
He likes to show his teeth a lot.
I'm not getting into this.
His brother shows his teeth like they're his fangs. Like, back off.
It's method acting.
Very method. Anyway, these two fighting more. The mother trying to not really do much to help, actually, I think.
Kevin's gonna fall asleep if we don't get through this episode.
I'm working. We're 37 minutes. We're good there. Anyway, so back to movie night.
Which might be the best scene in the entire episode.
Yeah, where they're going along here, and then Paul starts doing work on her tablet or whatever, and he's like, "I thought you were going to give this a chance," from Archer to Paul.
And like, she looks so fucking annoyed.
Yeah,
she's like, fine.
Yeah,
fine.
Which just goes to show you how good of an actress she is, because even when she's not making the emotion, you still know that she's angry.
Oh yeah, she's really good.
It's very good. At that.
I was like, this seems like a fun. Like, you think, like, just from a historical point of view, she like Phlox. Phlox is into it. He's like, this is weird.
No,
yeah, but Phlox is into everything.
Interested in anything interesting.
Yeah. And he's like, this is kind of like on this planet where they bring people back to the dead, and he's kind of talking Trip's ear off here. And this is where she was like, it's all pissy at him, at Paul. He's like, you can pause.
Look at that neck spin, though, eh?
Yeah.
It's like, whoosh. I'm surprised she didn't break her neck on that one.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, I'll go back to my coffee.
Fine, I'll be quiet then.
Yeah, and
he looks like my dog after I tell it.
Archer 2 is thinking fraternizing, like. You were supposed to be like, it was supposed to be fun.
Yeah, and you just told.
I'm gonna replicate that one.
All right, hey, Phlox, let's have less fun, okay?
All right, here's my Phlox impression. You ready?
Yeah,
not bad.
And she's munching on the and eating it with her hands.
She eats with her.
Well,
hands.
if you look at Archer's face, though, I didn't catch this when I was watching it, but he clearly is disturbed by the fact that she's eating with her hands.
He's like, that's weird. Yeah, he notices. He's like,
so yeah, you might be right, Kevin.
And she shovels that shit in her face.
Yeah, she's like,
yeah,
and he's like, I thought you never ate with your hands.
Better be no
You've
butter
been
on
lying
that
this whole time.
It's almost like she's never eaten with her hands before and doesn't know how.
Almost like that. Anyway, cool scene. I liked it. Back to the cargo ship. The brother and the guy. Oh yeah, there's somebody's accessing our systems down in the cargo bay. So he goes, I'll go check it out. And
he already knows who it is.
Yeah, he already knows.
Literally 5 minutes before that, Mayweather's like, well, you should do these upgrades. It'll make things better.
Yeah, let's upgrade our plasma turret.
Like, we couldn't see this coming.
And he's like, I told you not to do that. I'm the captain. And he's like, well, I don't care what you think, Paul.
I wonder if that's a sonic screwdriver.
Looks kind of like one. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's
anyway. Just more of these two fighting, and it's like, you weren't even here when Dad died.
And he's like, whoa, low blow.
Low blow, bro.
Low blow. I was commanding a ship that I wasn't in command of.
Yeah, I'm like the lowest peg on this totem pole over on Enterprise.
I was playing with my stick and rudder.
Yeah, I was a stick. I was the stick and rudder man. Dad told us.
He's still not as good as you, Kevin.
Dad told my boss that I'm the best stick and rudder man there ever was. Anyway, so Moa blow. Anyway, and then he's like, take out these upgrades on the weapons, and Travis is like, you could do it yourself. Screw you, Paul.
Yeah, and you killed Dad.
You killed Dad, and so these two just have
it's just so brutal. It's like watching an after-school special.
these two grown men act like 5-year-olds.
It's brutal.
But anyway, so Travis is eating some pie.
And he's like, I had real strawberry shortcake and it didn't taste as good. It's like, well, then you're an idiot.
Yeah, even the mom's like, really?
She's like,
Although
it's an
I will
MRE,
say-
asshole.
I will say though, most of the people on the horizon treated him better than the people on that other cargo ship in season 1.
Yeah. They were very hostile towards him in that episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, his dad, they know him here, so there's a history. But the mom was like, hey, remember 4 years ago you sat down with me at this table and we talked about you joining Starfleet? Because he talks about this whole plan about him wanting to come back and help run things for as long as it takes. And he's feeling an obligation, right? Like to come back home, or he's feeling that guilt, I guess.
And his mother's the only one on the ship that gives a shit about him.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you go do what you need to do, what you want to do.
Yeah. Like she's like, you work on the first Warp 5 ship from Earth. Like, why would you want to come back here? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. So he leaves. And then this was a very funny scene, I thought, too, afterwards, with them all at the captain's mess having dinner after the movie, or I guess it's breakfast, or I'm not sure what meal this was, but anyway, where she was just like, from my perspective,
From my perspective, this was the story of an individual persecuted by humans because he was different.
That's one way of looking at it.
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's spot on.
That's the point.
So all this has taught us in this scene is that Trip probably is racist.
Racist. Go on.
No, that's it. Just he's racist.
Uh,
He's like, that's one way of putting it.
well, I'm not sure if I'm connecting.
The
these
other
dots,
way
but-
is that Frankenstein was a slave, and that was okay. Like, I don't know what the hell he's trying to, like, why is that line even in there? It's like, that's one way of looking at it.
Well, you think because that's the more conventional way to look at it anyway, right? So
What other way is there to look at that movie?
Exactly.
well, Trip looks at it a different way.
Apparently.
Anyway, I just love the looks that
In my
Archer.
video, I mentioned that I don't have a jointer. So then I got a ton of requests.
Who's that?
What was that?
I don't know. It's like a TV.
Well, Kevin's muted, so I'm guessing it had something to do with him.
Yeah, I leaned on the remote for our TV and something started playing.
Oh,
I thought it was Candace at first coming down
Me
to
too.
Jody shit.
I'm like, what did I do?
Anyway,
There's plenty that she can come up with, I'm sure, but still.
Yeah.
Every time I see Trip, like, certain angles, I always think of, like, George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Like,
I
he
see
could
that.
easily play a young George W. Bush.
Yeah, he looks. I bet you.
Oh, he could too. That's right. He
Yeah.
does look like W, a young W.
Yeah, or he could at least play Jeb Bush.
No.
W.
No, definitely young though. Young.
Young
Yeah.
W.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's be 20 years older now, so maybe he would be.
Well, he doesn't look like this anymore. I can
Right.
already tell you because I watched the podcast that they do.
I just love like this look. Like Bakula is really good in some of these scenes with her, and them having fun with it more. Anyway, and they get the call like, "Hey, we're getting like the volcano. You might want to look at the window." And the volcanoes are like,
Remember that, like, thing that we were doing?
remember the science, the
Remember that
scientific
science
mission?
we were doing? Turns
Right.
out it's happening.
he's like, whatever. We turned the cameras on, and it was just it's so like whatever. Like let's not get burned by the volcanoes. Is his like his genius order he gives here to the.
Well,
crew.
that's a pretty good order, though.
He's like, maybe we go 5,000 more kilometers up.
Maybe we back off a bit,
Yeah.
so we don't get scalded. That might be good.
And that's sort of the conclusion of that storyline, and then we come back to the cargo ship space battle. The aliens are here, the bigger ship's here, and it's got a big scary looking alien man who's
What alien is this again?
I don't know. I don't think we've seen this guy before.
You haven't seen this guy?
No.
Okay.
And he's like, listen, like you can have our cargo, but they want the ship too. Like that's what kind of changes the game here. He's like, yeah, we want the ship too, and if you cooperate, you won't die. Is basically his terms. And tries to negotiate with him, but it doesn't work. And Mayweather, Travis Mayweather, that is, he has gone from that conspicuous uniform to a very sharp looking red turtleneck get up here. So he's trying to be more conspicuous.
He's still an asshole in this episode.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so they're like, so now Paul's willing to listen because now he's like, my plan to just give them the cargo didn't work. So now maybe we do need to fight. Can you still do it? And he gets his mom to detach the main clamps here. And I didn't really see this coming here. Like I
No, me
didn't
neither.
how they come out of warp, still pursued by this vessel, and it's a lot of shots here, but yeah, they let the clamps go here.
I like
Come
the
out.
idea of this though.
I
Like
love
it makes sense.
I love that this ship is so small. Like you think the whole ship is
Yeah, this
like
like
that
big
whole thing
massive
is the
frigate.
ship, but that's
Yeah.
all cargo, and that the ship is tiny. I love that.
Yeah,
Which
That
would
was
make sense,
surprising.
right?
right.
Yeah.
And it's so wouldn't like forgive my ignorance here, but wouldn't a smaller ship at sublight speeds move faster than a cargo ship just based on its inertia? Like, don't you need more energy to move more mass through space?
Well, mass isn't a factor in space.
Even to achieving speed?
I don't think it would be. Because warp.
I'm really not sure.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to. You know what? I'm going to look into it.
When you
'Cause-
mostly remove gravity and you're in a vacuum, like shit gets weird at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just don't know if, like, I'm not saying that that a ship like the cargo ship would have been as maneuverable as we see in this scene.
Well, I think the maneuverability would definitely be affected. But if that's the case, then the weight would too. So I don't know.
Right.
You know what? This is much more interesting than this episode is.
Yeah.
Just trying to understand the physics of this
Yeah.
fight.
I wouldn't even bother trying.
Yeah. Anyway, so they got Travis at the helm, and he's flying by, and they shoot at the thing, and they get the cargo. So yeah, the fight sort of end like a little bit ending.
Very
It's a very
abrupt.
fast fight.
Very
Yep.
fast fight. They just kind of like take some shots, and then they get their cargo and they leave.
It's kind of like that like last scene in the dogfight scene in like the original Top Gun movie. It's that long. Like you get this entire build up, and then it's like literally like 20 seconds.
Well, yeah, they just like they do the pew pew pew, but you think like, hey, maybe we should like arrest these pirates or get Enterprise to arrest these pirates. Or
How are they going to arrest anybody? They're a cargo ship.
well, no, Enterprise.
Where is Enterprise?
Why does Travis not even tell them what happened?
That is weird. That
Yeah.
stood out to me. He didn't even say anything to Archer about what happened. He's like, "Oh, everything was weird and fine and
Yeah.
whatever."
Like
what
he doesn't
the
want.
fuck
He,
was
like,
that?
why wouldn't you want to share that information? I don't understand. Anyway, so the brother comes to see him as he's getting ready to leave, about 10 minutes before docking with Enterprise, and they have sort of a begrudging, newfound respect or whatever. Again, this is a trope. This is a typical scene.
I actually, well before this, I enjoyed the mother talking about him, like when Mayweather was like, he's not ready, And then she starts talking about how his father wasn't ready when he took over.
Right.
That was really good. I
That was good. Like,
missed that.
like I thought that there was some good elements to this, but I feel like I don't know what would have made it better. I guess.
I'm not going to ask Sam how he found that out.
Yeah, like how you got to that information, Sam, is.
But he does ask a follow-up, which is, what Star Trek character should I name it after?
Spot the cat.
It depends on what color it is.
Yeah,
We
what
need to
color
know
is
the
the
color.
cat? Yeah.
So let us know that.
What about Grudge after Book's cat on to Star Trek Discovery?
No, don't do that. He says they went to the vet to find that out.
Okay, good.
That's good.
I don't want to know how the vet
Leave it to the
found that out.
professionals. Leave it to the professionals.
Self-check is not a good idea.
Yeah.
It is a gray mixed with white. Ooh. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on that one for a bit.
This old cat. Name him Martok.
Martok. Martok would be a good name.
Yeah.
I like that.
Anyway, so he's like, maybe I'll see you in 4 years. He goes, maybe sooner. He's like, cool.
I hope so.
Yeah. Do we see this brother again in the show, Jody? Is this brother?
I don't think so.
No, this is the end.
I don't remember him anyway.
This is the
It's
last
possible.
of Paul Mayweather.
Good.
I hope so.
Anyway, I also thought this was interesting that
Archer's letting him in.
Archer ran the airlock controls himself for this procedure. They got a whole crew of people, but
He was just so excited to welcome him back.
he's like, I can't believe you're back. There was nothing really for you to do while you were gone, but I was just stick and rudder man. I gotta have my stick and rudder man.
Sam, I
So-
think you should call your cat Bones.
Well, Bones is good.
Not bad. Yeah.
I like
bad.
that one.
Would Kirk be? Kirk's not a bad name. Tiberius is a good cat name too.
Tiberius? Yeah, that'd be a good.
Yeah,
one.
that's Kirk's middle name. Anyway, doesn't tell him about what happened, and
Which is weird.
Weird. And
Yeah, but honestly,
He's
if
waiting-
you're Archer, you're dodging a bullet on this one.
No, you know what's happening? Mayweather's waiting for breakfast.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like,
I'm
yeah,
fucking
we'll
telling
talk
this
at
shit during
breakfast.
well,
breakfast.
I only file official reports at breakfast. So, and they head off into
And then the end.
the end. So that's the episode in stills and everything that happened. Some trivia, maybe.
I can live without it.
How about just a couple?
All right, go for it.
Go for it,
Okay.
Dave.
All right, some trivia, guys, coming your way. Some details discovered by Dave. No.
Do
If
it.
you look at the bookshelf in Mayweather's quarters aboard the Horizon, there is a white book entitled "Gangsters of the 20th Century," suggesting that
That's good.
is the same ship Horizon that played a major role in the backstory of a piece of the action.
Nice.
Nice.
That was the Horizon. You're right.
It was. It totally was the Horizon.
There you go.
What they're the one who created Gangster World?
That is way more interesting than this whole episode.
Why
How
did
did
they
they
do
get that far out?
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
How did they get that far out with a warp 2 ship though? Yeah, that's a
Takes
little
a
bit of a
while.
hole.
It's cool though.
Maybe
That's
they hit
cool.
a wormhole.
Yeah. I would have loved if they had set up with the Iosians, right?
Iosha.
The tables in the Horizon's mess hall are actually from USS Voyager's mess hall. Mayweather mentions to Reed that Starfleet should post families together on the Starfleet, but they need the psychologist. There's a reference to Next Generation, of course, Counselor Deanna Troi. In Mayweather's old room on the Horizon, a model of Zephram Cochrane's vessel, the Phoenix, can be seen in the background. And that's also another thing. We found out that the engine of the Horizon was designed by Cochrane himself, or like that type
Yes,
of
they
it.
did mention that. Yeah.
Signed it even.
Yeah, I think he signed the inside of the
It's
metal.
rumored that it's signed.
Yeah. This episode marks the second instance of T'Pol breaking the Vulcan taboo against touching food with one's hand after
Oh.
she saw. So there was one before this.
We missed it. I missed it anyway.
Yeah, we didn't document that. In this episode, dated January 10th, 2153, it is revealed that in the 18 months since the launch, Enterprise has traveled 150 light years and visited 22 inhabited planets. Guys, it's 2153. I got to update this in my documents. You know, I always keep track of the year.
Of course.
Someone has to.
Someone has to.
It ain't gonna be us.
The Bridge of the Horizon was built using a redressed Enterprise bridge set. And then shortly prior to filming of this episode, the actor, Anthony Montgomery, gave an interview to Star Trek The Magazine in which he expressed an interest in seeing both the Sweet Spot make a return appearance after debuting in Star Trek Enterprise Broken Bow. And Mayweather's parents appear in the series, most of which occurs in this episode.
It's his fault.
It's his fault this happened.
All right.
Travis and his mother discussed the events of Minefield and the Catwalk. And Nicole Forrester, that girl who we saw, she previously played a Dabo girl in a Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode.
Ah.
I think she's the one who went on the date with Jake. And remember how Jake?
So I think you're right.
Yeah, and my daughter's dating my son's dating a Dabo girl. What do I do about this?
Yeah.
So
Let's get to ratings.
let's get to ratings.
I'm done with this episode.
All right, let's bring it up.
Now, Adam already gave his rating.
Oh, what was
gave
Adam's
it a
rating?
5.
5?
A 5.
Oh, okay. What are you going?
I'm gonna go with a 5 as well.
I'm going 7.
That was a
3.
very convincing 7.
This is bad.
3
This is really bad.
3 for Kevin. All right. So average out of 5.
So is this the worst episode of season 2 so far?
It's bad. It's
no,
really,
really
Precious
bad.
Cargo. Anything with cargo we don't like.
Precious Cargo
Vanishing
and
Point.
Vanishing Point.
We didn't like that too much. And Minefield.
Oh, Minefield. Yeah, I forgot.
I'm sure I liked Precious Cargo better than this.
You
You
gave it a 6.
Oh yeah, 6.
You did.
I didn't hate Precious Cargo. This was bad.
Yeah.
Boring. Like just so boring.
Written by Andre Bormanis, who I think wrote some Voyager episodes.
That name rings a bell.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for the rating on Horizon. Jody,
All right.
the
Next week's episode is The Breach. Well, Enterprise rescues 3 Denoblian scientists from a planet under a new xenophobic government. Dr. Phlox must treat a patient with racist views against his people. This is actually a good episode. I remember this episode.
I'm excited.
This episode is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's high up, but it's definitely a solid episode. From what
Yes,
I
Sam, this is before both of those.
It's before both. Yeah. About 100 years before.
about that. Yeah.
And he said he started watching Voyager, and it's pretty good. So.
Just wait.
Wait till you get past season 3. You're golden. It's good after. It's really good.
It's good after season 3.
Mhm.
If you think season 1, 2, and 3 are good, then
wait.
you're really going to enjoy it.
Voyager is like, it's not my favorite thing, and it's not my least favorite thing. It's sort of like this right in the middle.
Serviceable. It's good. I like it. There's many good episodes.
It's okay unless you have an episode that is a Neelix-centric episode, a episode with Cass in it. So any episode with Cass in it is an automatic no-go. And anything where Janeway and Chakotay fight is a terrible episode usually.
What about when they have sex or kiss or whatever?
I don't remember that episode.
Yeah, no one does. But they didn't have sex. They just were making out. And they live on a planet with some mosquitoes forever. Anyway, it's a long story. I digress. Okay, well, I think we can.
In that episode with the where her and what's his name turned into like those like eel things.
Threshold.
Salamander.
Threshold. That's
yeah,
it.
where Janeway and Tom Paris turned into salamanders, and
that might be one of the worst episodes in Star Trek.
I can't believe they left the salamanders there.
Of course they did. Where are
Like,
they gonna put them?
They can turn them into humans.
That's true. All right,
Like
Dave.
Anyway,
I'm cutting you off.
all right.
What else do we have on this channel?
We got great stuff, Jody. Tomorrow night, the return of Star Trek Deep Space Nine at 9-inch. We're coming in with Sons and Daughters, a Klingon-themed episode. It's about Alexander, your favorite Next Generation character.
But Deep Space Nine does Alexander so great.
So much better.
It does do it better.
Yeah.
I will agree. Yeah.
It's a good episode. I was watching just a few seconds of it this morning. And
You know what's worse
"Oh,
than an Alexander episode in DS9?
What's that?
A Jake Sisko episode in DS9.
Well, hey, watch it, you know.
Are you insane?
No.
What
What about Thursdays, Dave?
Thursdays, Star Trek Lower Decks.
Or Dex?
Yeah, we're talking
Can't
about.
say I've been most impressed with this season so far, but it's been okay.
We've been we've averaged 8.5 on. So
You guys are clearly not watching the same show I am. Then
I'm liking it, but
I don't think an 8.5 average is realistic.
we got 2
for me.
episodes left. We'll talk about episode 9 this Thursday. With title to be released still. We
Yeah, I
know
don't
what the
think
name of
they've
it is
released
yet.
it yet.
And of course, we have all our other locutors of Trek podcasts, including we did a Treckle Trunk last night. I was talking about some Lower Decks comic books with Dave and Davin, including I think we're going to do a Star Trek Radio Theater of this story in the near future.
When the
based
third one
on
comes out, it's three books for one story.
right, yeah. So we need the third part. But I read the first 2 and I was like, this is really funny and good. So
I'm gonna have to pick that up.
yeah, it's they're like, guess what? Dracula is a royalty-free character. It means you can put him into any story anytime you want. And what are the downsides? So there are none, literally none. So anyway, so that's all available on Live Long and Podcast. We got going on lots of great stuff. Stop being a Karen.
Like he goes and he says something like this, and then he wants my respect. How does that work?
you know, he's young. He's young.
He's young.
And of course, we have our other channels under the United Federation of Podcast. Oh, here it is. The United Federation of Podcasts.
Do we have a salute yet, Dave?
My
Oh
God.
shit! Don't do that. Oh.
You should
Anyway.
check out the Super Mater Brothers podcasting. Jeff, Jaemeel, and I talking reality TV shows, and including right now Survivor season 43.
I think Sam should be a panelist on your Big Brother stuff.
Our Big Brother and Survivor podcasts. Well, you should also check out our Big Brother podcasts, which are on hiatus right now, but we just did the most recent Canadian and U.S. seasons. And, Brand Steel simulations are going on with Sam. He's throwing us into them. Actually, I gotta get my audition video in for that show. And then what else, guys? We have Trivial Debates coming up on October 30th. Jody, in the very near future. You're hosting.
I guess I better do that, eh?
You better get to go. You got the Battle of the Blue Nosers. You got Andre Mayette from the Graphics History Podcast.
Battle of the
X-Rated
Blue
Podcast.
Nosers?
Yeah, 3
Wow.
Nova Scotian kids here. Andre, or 3.
This is going to be a train wreck for me.
Andre, Chris Murphy, and Davin Skellhorn competing.
I don't know
there.
Andre, so I can't really say much for Andre, but
He's cool, very smart.
Davin's going to make it 2 hours longer than it needs to be.
Well, that's why you have time limits.
And Chris, I think Chris is going to do okay. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
So this should be a good one. Andre from the X-Men podcast with Davin on Tuesdays. That's another Federation podcast, as well as the Graphics History podcast. That's a comic book themed podcast that Andre does. And we got the Hellbound podcast with Michael Chan and Alex Blackburn on Wednesdays. That's a horror themed podcast. And well, I don't have it, but they have it. And what else, guys? If I forget anything, let's talk about fighting games. Sam Jerka. Mm-hmm. So we got all kinds of great content
Very
within
animated.
our network. You should check those things out if you haven't already. Why wouldn't you?
All right.
You know. All right.
You got something to play us.
I do. We can get out of here, and we'll see you guys next time. All right. Let's go.
The 3 greatest horror movies.
Was that the one I want? No, I already played that one. I want this one.
Starfleet really ought to think about putting families on starships. You must be joking. No one would ever get homesick.
Yes. Well, they better post a psychologist on board, because I'd need one if my parents